Hello and welcome back. In this episode we're going to take a look at the SwitchListTile widget, which allows you to combine a switch widget with a list tile widget. You'll notice we have our homepage state, which contains a scaffold with an app bar, and inside the body of the scaffold we're going to create a list view widget. The list view is going to have a single child, which is going to be a SwitchListTile widget. You'll notice by these squiggles there in our IDE that the parameter onChange is required and the parameter value is required. So we'll go on ahead and specify those, setting the value to true and specifying an onChanged callback function, like so. You'll notice that we now have our SwitchListTile widget appearing in the application running on the Android emulator. However, you'll notice that when we tap the list tile, nothing happens. That's because the value is fixed to true, meaning that the switch will always be on. This is where we can use the onChanged callback function to update the value of the switch list tile. Now that's because by default the switch list tile does not manage its own state. It's up to us to manage the state of the switch list tile in our page or custom widget. So what we can do is inside our state class we can create a property called value, initialize it to an initial value of false, and we can specify the switch list tile to use this state class's property instead of a hard-coded fixed value of true. You'll notice that saving the application and hot reloading has set the switch to off because the property value is set to false. However, you'll still notice that tapping the list tile does nothing. That's because we need to wire up the onChanged callback function. onChanged callback function provides us with the value that the switch is changed to, either true or false, and we can use this to update our property value in the state class. So what we can do inside the set state, we can specify our property called value and set it equal to the value provided in the onChanged callback. You'll notice how now the switch list tile will automatically update on and off whenever the user taps it, like so. Now there are a number of other properties that you can specify with the switch list tile. For example, you can specify the different colours, both inactive and inactive, the thumb image for both active and inactive, the title and subtitle of the list tile, whether the list title spans 3 lines, whether it's dense, the padding of the list tile's content, the secondary widget, whether or not the list tile is selected, and whether the list tile is automatically focused. We'll take a look at playing around with these colour parameters next. You'll notice that we have an active colour and an active track colour. So let's have a look at what these do. If we set the active colour to be red, you'll notice how we now have a thumb colour of red with the track colour automatically updating to be a slightly lighter shade of red. By default, as you would have just noticed, this defaults to the application's primary colour, hence why the switch was blue, because blue is the application's primary colour in this demonstration. Specifying the active track colour allows you to customise the colour of the track independent of the colour of the thumb. For example, specifying an active track colour of green will automatically switch that track colour to be green rather than the light shade of red. Likewise, you can also specify the inactive thumb colour and the inactive track colour. For example, now when we turn the switch off, you'll notice we have a thumb colour of red and a track colour of green, with the active colours being reverted to the application's primary colour, in this case blue. We can also give the switch list tile a title and a subtitle, much like the conventional list tile widget. we simply give these some placeholder values for the purposes of this demonstration. You'll notice there how we now have the title and subtitle appearing, styled as if they were in a conventional list tile widget. Likewise, if you have a title and subtitle that span over 3 lines, you can use the is3lines parameter, setting is3line to true, and adding an additional line to the subtitle, like so. You'll notice how we retain a visually appealing amount of padding around the list tile's content. If we were to remove the is3line parameter, you'll notice how we lose that vertical padding around the content. We can also specify whether or not the list tile should be dense. Now, dense defaults to false as standard. However, specifying a dense of true essentially compacts the list tile, allowing you to fit a greater number of list tiles inside the list view on the screen. Likewise, you've also got this secondary parameter. Specifying secondary, which is generally an icon widget, will place the widget to the left-hand side of the SwitchListTile. For example, specifying the account circle icon, you'll notice how we now have the account circle icon appearing at the left-hand side of the list tile. This is equivalent to the leading position in the standard list tile widget. Essentially then, the SwitchListTile allows you to combine both a switch and a list tile into one convenient widget. And you'll notice how you're able to tap anywhere inside the list tile to trigger the onChanged callback. This would be different to if you implemented the 2 widgets separately, whereby you'd only be able to tap on the switch itself to trigger the switch on and off. The SwitchListTile essentially allows you to tap anywhere inside the list tile widget to toggle the switch on and off. I hope you found this useful. Thank you very much for watching.